What is court diversion? Court diversion is a program that helps young people and adults take responsibility for their unlawful actions while keeping them out of the formal court system and potentially having a criminal record. The court diversion process, which follows a restorative justice approach, deters future unlawful behavior and encourages active accountability. By active accountability, we mean that participants help decide how they will repair the harm they've done. Through this process, people can really learn from the experience and are less likely to get into trouble again with the law. And court diversion is effective. Over 80% of people who successfully complete the program don't reoffend. The state's attorney conducts a screening process to decide whether to refer someone to diversion. It's a voluntary program, so the person who is referred decides whether to participate, considering the benefits of the program. Why should you choose court diversion? A key benefit of court diversion is that after successful completion, a person doesn't have a criminal conviction record. If someone is found guilty of charges in criminal court, his or her criminal record may limit the ability to get certain jobs, student loans, public housing, or to travel outside the U.S., and not having a record is a big benefit. Another benefit is that when the offender discusses with community members the incident that led to the charge, he or she helps decide how to make things right. People who are involved in deciding how to repair the harm are usually more committed to following through with their diversion contract. Often diversion participants end up connected with resources in the community and create lasting and supportive relationships. Each county's court diversion program can do things a little differently, but let's take a hypothetical case to explain how it works. A person may be charged with something like marijuana possession, shoplifting, or underage drinking, but underage drinking has its own special court diversion process called TASP, the Teen Alcohol Safety Program. We'll use a case involving property damage as an example of a case going through diversion. Let's say a teen boy, Joe, breaks some windows of a local store with a rock, and law enforcement is called. He is caught and cited for unlawful mischief. The officer's citation given at the scene will have a date to appear in court and state the law that was broken. Joe shows up at the court thinking he will appear before the judge, but behind the scenes, the state's attorney has been deciding which cases to refer to court diversion. A court diversion case manager will be at court and meet with Joe and explain the program. If Joe feels he is falsely accused, the case manager will encourage him to go to court. The court diversion program only accepts cases where the offender accepts responsibility for his or her actions. If he decides to do it, and with a parent if under 18, they set a time for a more formal meeting with the case manager. At that meeting, the case manager will gather more information. What led to this offense? What factors in Joe's life contributed to it? What might motivate him to make more positive life choices? The case manager is figuring out how diversion can help Joe understand the ways his actions affected others and how to make amends for what he did. Case managers will also contact the victims, in this case the store owners, to learn more about how the crime affected them and invite them to participate in the process to the degree they want. If the case manager recommends continuing, and Joe wants to participate, the case manager will typically ask Joe to think about 3 questions. Who was affected? How were they affected? And what needs to be done to repair the harm? Then Joe will meet with the review board. What is a review board? The review board is a group of trained community volunteers who meet with diversion participant Joe. The case manager will also be at the meeting. The review board's goal is to learn about the crime from the perspective of both those affected and Joe and facilitate an appropriate way to hold Joe accountable and meet the victim's needs. When the participant is under age 18, a parent will bring the child to the meeting, provide input, and may also sit at the table. The volunteers try to involve the participant in a way that doesn't feel like it's a trial. Diversion is a confidential program. Diversion staff and volunteers may not share information they learn with anyone unless the participant gives them permission to do so. Before the person meets with the review board, the volunteers read summaries of the case. There are 3 stages to the first meeting with the review board. The first stage is getting to know the person and learning about the offense in his or her own words. The second stage, after hearing the person take responsibility for breaking the law, he or she is accepted into the program. And, in the third stage of the meeting, the review board and Joe collaborate to shape the contract. What is a contract? The contract is a list of things that have to be done in order to successfully complete the program. A contract is tailored to the individual, the offense, and the people affected by it, and may include several elements such as community service for a nonprofit organization, written essay or other creative project that involves reflecting about what happened and how people were affected, letters of apology, meeting with a counselor, paying back the victim, restitution, participation in an appropriate educational group, and the program fee. In order to participate in the program, a fee must be paid. Joe will leave the review board meeting with a printed contract that both he and the court diversion members have signed. If Joe initiates steps to take responsibility before meeting with the review board, that work will be included in the contract as a completed item. The length of time it takes to complete the contract varies. Many people finish within a few months. It's the participant's responsibility to let the case manager know when each step is completed, and case managers are always available for guidance. When a person owes money to pay a victim for damaged property or other losses, this financial restitution is paid to the court diversion program. The program then sends the money on to the victim. Sometimes the harm a person has caused is damage to a relationship, so a participant may come up with ways to rebuild trust. For example, Joe could do some community service at a nonprofit with his dad as a way to work on rebuilding the relationship while providing a service that benefits the community. What happens next? When all contract requirements have been fulfilled, Joe has successfully completed the program, and over 80% of diversion participants successfully complete the program. When the contract's complete, the court diversion program then informs the state's attorney and the case is dismissed by the court. If Joe doesn't get into any other trouble with the law, the court will order the case sealed 2 years later. If the contract is not completed, the case will be returned to the state's attorney to be prosecuted. The person will then need to go to court for the original charge and may enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Like most people who do court diversion, Joe did complete his contract. He took responsibility for his actions, and the victims had a say in how to repair the harm. Court diversion has helped support Joe in becoming a law-abiding member of the community. To learn more about court diversion, please visit vtcourtdiversion.org.